Hello everyone. So I had my surgery 2 weeks ago. It all went really well as far as I'm aware. And today is actually the first day that I felt remotely kind of able to record something to share with you my experience of the past 2 weeks and my recovery process. So I have my lovely ear. I won't show you, but this is the affected ear. Luckily they did stitch it back on pretty much even with my other ear, but if I'm looking weird when I smile, it's just because I have packing, which feels like it's like touching the back of my throat. It's quite uncomfortable. I have started to really get used to it, but just bear with me because it's not the easiest thing, and I still have a little bit of swelling as well. So basically I went in for my surgery 2 weeks ago, and the day before my surgery I actually called to check that I was going to be first on the list because as some of you might know, my first surgery got cancelled. And that was because I wasn't first on the list. I was second, and I ended up falling off the list, which was really frustrating because it meant that I didn't have my surgery that day, and I wanted to just ensure that that wasn't going to happen again. So I called the hospital the day before, and they actually told me that I was second on the list again, which obviously I was a little bit frustrated because I was just like, oh, is it going to happen again with me being cancelled? But in the morning, when I went to the hospital, they told me that I was first on the list, which was great. So they just said, you know, after what happened last time, we wouldn't want you to get cancelled again, so we've prioritised you and you're going to be first. So it was great. So this was about 8:20 in the morning, and then they just said we just need to rush around a little bit and just get all of your paperwork signed, get you gowned up and ready to go. I think it must have got to about, I don't know, it was like 9:30 or something, and I was meant to go in for 8:30, and we were like, something's not right. And then at about 9:45 somebody came down to tell me that we'd been pushed back to second. Time started to get on, and I was like, oh my god, it's going to be cancelled again. But they came down at about 11:45. I was in the loo, typical, always happens. You go to the loo and they come and you're like, oh hi. And yeah, they were just like, right, we're ready to take you. So the anaesthetic was quite interesting. I've never had anaesthetic before. But you know, it was just all the usual stuff. My needle wouldn't go in properly, and all of those like creepy things. Just kind of looked away and just thought about something different. And the last thing that I remember before going under was looking up at the ceiling, and there was a minion on the ceiling, and I was like, ooh, minion, and I was like laughing, and then don't remember anything, obviously. Coming around from the surgery I was very, very emotional. Was like literally bawling my eyes out because I was dreaming that none of this was happening, and that there was like nothing wrong with me, and that everything was just fine. It was in like a really, really nice dream, and then I just felt like this like whooshing feeling, and could like see, it was like literally something off a film, could like see my eyes opening, and then the nurse was like, oh, Dani, you're in the hospital. Are you okay? Can you hear me? And I literally just burst into tears. And I was like, no. And yeah, it was quite sad really, because I was like, that moment of realisation when it's all true and you're like, oh, shit, yeah, I've just had surgery. But yeah, I was in recovery for like an hour and a half. I'm smiling because I'm happy that it's all over, but it was like literally the worst experience of my life. It was horrendous. So my throat was absolutely killing because of the breathing tube, and it literally felt like my throat was like this big. It was horrendous and like really, really scratchy. But they had to wait to give me some water just in case I threw up. My head was absolutely pounding, like pain I have never had before. It was like all obviously on this side. My head felt like really tight, and they did say that you if they go in invasive behind the ear, then I'll have like a giant like headband on and like a big bit of packing on my left side. And yeah, I just had like a splitting headache really, and it was just like throbbing. The tinnitus was absolutely unbelievable, and it kind of freaked me out because I was like, oh my god, this is 10 times worse than what it was before I went into surgery. But I got told quite a few times, you know, don't worry about it, it's something, you know, when your ear's been through that much trauma with the surgery, that it'll settle down in time. So I stayed in hospital overnight. Everything was absolutely fine, really, really positive. But I did kind of have this realisation kind of about the NHS and the staff nurses. They were absolutely brilliant, but the pressure that they're under, it makes me really sad. And on that day, they had, so just at the Mayhill unit at Gloucestershire Royal Hospital, they had 63 patients, and I mean, I don't know exactly how many nurses there were, but, you know, at one point there was one of the nurses, she said that she was trying to look after 10 patients at the same time. It's just insane. So unfortunately, because they were so short-staffed, I didn't actually get to speak to anyone about my surgery, which really sucked, because even to this day now, like, I don't know what I've actually had done. So all I know is that they've gone in invasive, so they've made an incision behind my ear. I would show you, but it's really gross. And that they got rid of all of the cholesteatoma, so all of the growth, and it was bigger than what they expected, which I knew anyway because my symptoms were so bad previously. And then I got stitched up and then came round. Like, that's all I know at the moment. I don't know whether or not I've lost any hearing bones or whether it's like affected anything else. So I have my appointment with my surgeon on Monday, just for a follow-up appointment and to get this bloody packing out. It's driving me mental. Yeah, it's just literally like, I don't know, apparently there's loads of like, I think it's gauze in there. But I think I might have gel packing, I don't know, because I've had a couple of issues with it, moving around and looking a bit gloopy, and yeah, it's just really gross. But yeah, so I stayed in overnight, and then was discharged at about 12 o'clock the next day. The car journey home was like every bump in the road, I was like, ugh. A couple of days after were absolutely awful. So day 3, 4 and 5 were really bad. I don't know, I just had like the tinnitus in my ears was like really ringing and just kind of like really, really loud. And the pain was just horrible. And I'd been taking codeine for the pain, which, yeah, was just making my stomach really, really painful and just becoming a bit unbearable. At one point, I literally looked like pregnant. So the codeine was really good at getting rid of the pain. But I'd take one and then, well, 2, and then within 15 minutes, I'd literally be knocked out. I'd sleep for 4 hours, come round and be like, oh my God, what is going on? Made me feel like a bit, well, really, really spaced out. But when I was coming round from my surgery, because I was in so much pain, they gave me quite a lot of different painkillers. And I also had morphine as well. I had morphine for the first day. So when I was in hospital, I was on morphine. So then obviously the side effects of that kind of like wearing off weren't very pretty. Yeah, so I came off the codeine probably like day 5, just because it wasn't, I just thought I'll try paracetamol and ibuprofen as I have been before and just see how I get on, and it was fine. So I'd prefer to not kind of take that if I didn't have to, just because the side effects aren't really worth it. Yeah, so I had my stitches out on Friday. A week ago today. Was it a week ago? Bloody hell. God, that's gone fast. Yeah, so a week ago. Honestly, all the days are rolling into one. It's mental. Even though I'm literally not doing anything, I'm just like sat, just not even doing anything productive because I just don't have the energy. I'm just like, yeah, just sat doing nothing. But yeah, wow, Friday, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so I had my stitches out a week ago. that was fine, but you know, there's always that moment where you kind of want to thump the woman who's taking them out because it really hurts. But I felt a lot more comfortable after I got the stitches out, just like less tight, and it's a bit more comfortable to sleep on this side, so it doesn't feel like it's pulling as much, which is really nice. So after about 5 days, I think it was 5 days post surgery, I went out for what did we do? Oh yeah, my husband needed to get some, well, we needed to get some food shopping, so I thought it would be a good idea to try to just get a bit of fresh air and just sit in the car while he went food shopping. What a great idea. So unfortunately our apartment is at the top floor and there are 3 flights of stairs to get up. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. So I had to go down the stairs one at a time, and I was thinking, oh my god, it's going to take me like a decade to get back up these stairs. Yeah, and it really did. It was such a struggle, and I had to like hold on to the banister and like pull me up. And actually when James brought me back from the hospital, it was hilarious. I mean, I didn't want to laugh at the time, but thinking back, he had to like practically like lift me up the stairs. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. But I made it, so that's fine. It wasn't pleasant. I think it knocked me back a couple of days just attempting to try to get some fresh air because I was kind of locked up and feeling a little bit like I needed a change of scenery. But yeah, I didn't try that again for a few days, but I've only just managed probably in the last couple of days to be able to actually get up and have a nice walk without kind of feeling really exhausted. When I was at the hospital for the first couple of days, I had a bit of drainage, so just a bit of blood and like ooze basically, and it's really normal to have that. But of course then the outside of the packing like scabs over, and it was disgusting. Like I literally had like a pool of blood like sat in my ear. It was like a giant scab, and then it was all like dripping down my ear, and it was like, yeah, it was gross. At one point as well, I had like one of the stitches must have just like split or something. Nothing, you know, nothing, I didn't feel it or anything like that. It was just in the night time, and basically it had just bled and it was all like down here. So I woke up one morning and I was like sweating and like literally like had like this big patch over my ear, and then I went to the loo and I had like all blood, and I was like, oh my god, looked like something out of a freaking horror movie. Outer part of the packing, which is like there, right, it sits right on the outside, it's formed into like a hard, it basically looks like a scab. It's quite like hard, it doesn't move or anything, but I think it was a couple of nights ago, I was lying in bed. I've graduated from the sofa, being propped up with like a million pillows, decided to try to sleep in the bed because the sofa was giving me a really bad back, and kind of lying on my good side with my bad ear up, and all of a sudden I just had like, I was like, oh, and I like shot up in bed and something just completely changed, and it was it's nothing serious at all, but basically the scab, which is gross, but the scab had like dropped. So from, it was like facing out here, but it had like dropped, so it had almost like turned so that the scab was like facing down under here, and there was new packing like at the top which was like gloopy. But this was at about 1 o'clock in the morning and I didn't want to disturb my husband, so I just kind of got up and just thought that it was just itching, so just paced around the living room like frigging bear with a sore head for about 15 minutes until the point I was like, yeah, I think I need to just check with James and see, yeah, so get him to have a little look. So I got James to have a look and he was like, no, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't look any different really. The itching was absolutely unbearable, and I got a tip from my cholesteatoma support group on Facebook, and someone had just mentioned to take an antihistamine. Thank you, because it really worked and it kind of took the edge off. But I just couldn't sleep that night. I mean, I haven't slept at all really that great, apart from I've probably had like 2 full proper night sleep in the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I got off to sleep at about 4 or 5, and then slept till 12, so I still had like a decent amount of sleep. But So I'm due to go back to the hospital on Monday for my post-op follow-up with the surgeon that removed the cholesteatoma 2 weeks ago. So I'm really looking forward to firstly getting the packing out because it's driving me insane, but also just finding out a little bit more about what happened during the surgery and also kind of what the future holds. So if I have had hearing bones removed, whether or not I'm deaf in that ear, or I mean I'm feeling pretty positive, to be honest. I do feel like it's different. Like I can definitely tell that the tumour's gone, and that I do kind of, even though I feel like shit, I feel different. Like James said when I came round, we were just kind of chatting, and it was probably, I'd been around for a couple of hours, and James just kind of got up and he kissed me and looked a bit emotional. He was like, oh my God, you know, your speech is so much better, like you haven't stuttered or anything, it's so nice. And I was like, oh my God, yes, I didn't realise. So yes, it's all really exciting stuff. It all seems really positive, and I just hope that the next couple of steps in my journey are positive and kind of can move forward with the best solutions, really. So yeah, so over the first 10 days of my recovery process, I just did like a couple of little videos here and there. I don't talk very much in them just because I just couldn't, because my jaw hurt so much. And even like when my husband was making me laugh and stuff, it was so painful. But yeah, so I'll put it together in like one video following after this, just so you guys can check out my little recovery process. Yeah, so that's just a little roundup of my experience in the last couple of weeks. Obviously there have been lots and lots of lows, but also some great highs. Like I'm feeling super positive. I'm really excited that the surgery's done, and yeah, just looking forward to the future really, and seeing how I move forward with the next stages. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I have my appointment on Monday, and I will record another vlog just to keep you guys in the loop about what's happened. Super excited. Have a great weekend. Love y'all. Bye.